Hey, how's it going? Just going to be installing the frame sliders or chassis protectors, however you want to call them. Going to start off with the left side, but before I get going, I'll just show you what came included in the box. Just finished unpacking everything. So you got your instructions, more stickers. You have your frame slider, which comes in two pieces. This one is together just to show you, but this is how they come separated. It just slides right in like that. Don't know what everything is yet, but here's two spool looking things. These look like some sort of spacers. You have your mounting bolts, your plates. You have two of them, one for the left, one for the right, and a single bracket for mounting. That's all that came with it, and we're gonna get started with the left side first, according to the instructions, which is mounted. Just to give you a quick example, or a quick little video here of it. It looks like what it's going to mount to on the left side are these two bolts here, so this one and this one, and looks like it's going to be coming out of this guy, or this guy rather, excuse me, and that's going to go right straight through. Now you have to do one side at a time, because if you remove both engine mounts, the engine will sag and then your bolts won't align properly, and you're going to have a hell of a time trying to put everything back together. So make sure you complete one side 100% before moving on to the next, just to avoid any complication. So just to show you what you're going to need real quick, the smaller bolts are 8mm, and the larger one here is a 14mm. And just to avoid scratching, I'm going to use extensions on both of them, just to avoid hitting anything, making sure I don't scratch up my my cover here. Oh, and the left side is going to be the larger side. So I'm not sure if it's supposed to, yeah, I'm going to guess it's going to go this way. Could go that way. Yeah, no, obviously it has to go this way. And it mounts like that. Obviously I can't get it there, but essentially that's how it's going to look. So the smaller one is for the right, the larger of the two brackets are for the left. Got the first bolt out, already loosened the second, and the 14mm bolt that goes right through, so I'll just show you me taking out the rest of it. These you don't have to worry about, just take them out, nothing's going to happen. Make sure you keep track of them. Now this, it looks like when I pull it out, like there's this part right here, I bet you it'll drop down, so just make sure you catch it so it doesn't fall through. Yeah, just like that. So that drops out. So there we go, left side has been taken apart. And now I'll align the bracket and put it together. Alright, so just to show you for proper orientation, the left side bracket goes in front of your engine cover, but behind the engine mount bracket here, and you're going to use the spacer that they provide. You're not going to use your stock one because you won't have enough room, so you're going to use one of the shorter ones, which fits between the engine mount bolt, their bracket, the spacer to the engine. So you're going to replace the stock one with theirs. Same deal for the cover here. You're going to replace the stock ones with the ones that they provided, the longer ones, and that just feeds through like that. The slider itself mounts into their hole here, which I'll show you after. I am going to use a little bit of Loctite, but I don't think you need it because this will get hot, so I don't know how well it works under temperature. So I'm just going to use a tiny bit, just for the sake of using it, so nothing shakes loose. But I don't think you need it. I don't think there was any on the stock bolts. Doesn't look like there was any on this. And I already put the stock engine mount bolt away. It looked like it had something on it, but I couldn't really tell. So I am going to use a tiny bit on this guy as well. Okay. So the bolt that comes with the kit and the spacer is an 8mm, and you'll need an Allen for that, which I have right here. You can see right here, bam, 8, and you just tighten it down with this. Now I didn't know it was there until it actually hit the ground and fell out. But behind here in the stock assembly is like this guy right here. It's like a nut, and this will feed all the way through and has to tighten in behind, which you can sort of see right here if you can see my finger. It has to tighten in behind there. So you hold it down with your finger and you feed it through. Now I did not use a wrench on the other side. My Yoshimura pipe is kind of in the way. But I'm guessing you can get in there if you want to hold it down. But it actually didn't spin freely. It stayed in place once it got to a certain torque of me holding it with my finger from spinning. So it must be in there pretty good against something to keep it from twisting once it's in there. Again, I couldn't really tell as I wasn't able to look in there. But that's it. It's mounted. So these guys are 5mm. This is an 8. This bolts on the outside of your cover. This bolts down on the inside with their spacer, and then the nut on the back to hold it down. It's in there pretty secure, and that's it. So just to show you how everything assembles, you have your cap here, your cover, which you insert this part right here, straight down. Then you have your spacer right here, which you put down. And that actually slides into the hole, just like that. And the wider end is what goes against the bracket right here. And that all feeds through with this bolt right here, which is the same size as the one that goes to your engine mount. And it just screws in here. So I'm going to put Loctite on this one, feed it through here, just like that. And then that will get torqued right in there. And that is how she looks all mounted up before I put back on the cover. I already confirmed that this will fit through the space in my fairing before installing, so no worries there, don't worry about it. It'll be a little snug, but it'll just slide right through and you're good to go. So reinstallation of your left side fairing is going to be the same as removal. First thing you want to do is make sure you slide it up under the upper left cover here. There are little guides to use that you just put it on and then slide it forward. Make sure you're lined up with your hole for the upper left cover there, the hole there, and then of course you're just going to slide in your bolts here, your screw here and here. You're going to have your 3 big quick rivets right there. I think they're the M8s. Those you're going to obviously wait till you have the other side on as well, and then you're going to rivet in those 3, but we'll get there when we get there. But don't forget as well, on the inside you have these little quick rivets, and those you got to slide back in. To reset it, you just push it all the way through like that. So then when you feed it in again, this then locks into place once it's flush again. So just a quick example of how to use them. And I'm going to do that right now for the 3 that I've taken off for this inner fairing right here. The right side is a little different. Not as easy, or at least not as straightforward. Same deal, you're going to want to remove the engine mount bolt here with this part here that drops down. And I'm assuming just like the other one, there is a bolt on the inside, which yes, there is. I can feel it. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it's there. It's right there. So that feeds through. So that's what I'm going to do first. Is I'm going to take off this guy, and according to the diagram, this here, this hole, middle hole, is what's going to feed through to the engine mount. I'll get started by removing the, guessing that again is a 14mm. Let's just verify real quick. Here's my 14, and yes, so that's a 14. We're going to take that off right now. Okay, for this side, it looks like I'll be removing these 2 bolts, the 2 number 9s here. Looks like these have to come out after removing the stock bolt here for the 14mm, because I believe this is all one piece, because it didn't just fall out like the other one. And I know it's detached from the frame because I can feel it loose. Not loose, but like separated. So I'm guessing these 2 have to come out next. and then this bracket will drop out, and from what I understand, we no longer use it. So you're gonna have to remove this rubber piece right here, and you're gonna put this through here, because now you're using this and you're no longer using this one, which this does feel, you know, I want to say cheaper than the stock one, but that's what you got to do. So I'm going to feed this little rubber guy after I clean it up a little bit through the metal bracket here, and that's how it actually mounts. So it mounts like that, but obviously behind, so it'll be like that essentially. And then you put in your spacer and all that stuff. So I'll show you once it's off. These two bolts here, they're actually 12 millimeter. So you're gonna need a 12 millimeter ratchet for that, or a wrench, whatever you got. And just, that takes off, and you can see it's quite long, it feeds all the way through. So this bracket, once these two are removed, should just drop right out. So from what I gather, this is how it's gonna sit. I obviously didn't push anything through or bolt anything up. But you got your center engine mount bolt that goes through. You obviously are going to put your, it's right here. You're going to put your little bracket spacer through. Don't forget your nut on the other side, which again I'm going to clean up a bit before feeding it through. And you're going to use it like this against it so that the flat side is facing you. Shit. So that the flat side is facing. Stop rolling. Where the fuck did I do that? Holy crap, did that ever go far? Should have stopped it sooner. And you're going to put this on the other side to hold it in place, just like the other side. And here's basically how it sits. That's it, that's all. So again, not much to this bracket here, but it's all supported by this piece right here and the spacer which goes against your engine. So a little sturdier than I initially thought, because I thought this was going to be used as a brace, but I guess not. It makes sense, because this wouldn't hold up to anything. There you go. But I'm still extremely disappointed with how lightweight that is compared to the stock. I wish there was a way to reuse this guy. Now, just because I, for some reason, always have trouble reinstalling the right side fender, you know, it always gives me a little bit of a headache. I'm just going to show you real quick how it looks mounted. But I'm actually going to be taking the chassis protector off and putting on the fairing and then feeding it through and then tightening it down once I have the fairing on. So as you can see, I reused the stock bolts here. The bracket is right here with the stock rubber part right here. Here is the bracket that holds the actual chassis protector with the new bolt that Yoshi provided going through their new spacer with the bolt on the back. And you can see that this steel bracket right here, the metal one, is actually in front of the bracket that holds the frame slider. So if you want to make sure you install it correctly, you got to orient it like that. Now I'm going to take this back off and put back on the fairing. Now the fairing installation for the right side, again, same as removal. I just always have trouble getting it back under here for some reason, orienting it and trying to fit it around this while fighting with that. Yeah, I don't feel like dealing with it, so I'm going to take this back off and put on the fairing. And then remember, here are your quick rivets, which I temporarily left in the bike. 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. Nope, there. And once that's back on, we'll go ahead and put the actual frame slider on. Once you got your fairing back on, you can, well, in my case, I then went ahead and put on the frame slider. Just fed it right through there into the bolt. Use some Loctite just to make sure it doesn't slide out. It's very sturdy. The hardest problem you're gonna have is if you're anal, you're gonna want the Yoshimura to be flush. And after like 5 tries and the Loctite starting to solidify, I kind of gave up. So they're a little offset, but when you're flying down the road there, no one's gonna notice. So no worries. And if you do happen to use them, it'll scratch that Yoshimura right off. So either way, you're good to go. Now that both fairings are back, both fairings are back on, I am then going to put back on the clips first. So make sure you reattach your turn indicators. So here is the clip, and in my case I got to fight around the HIDs, and then here is the little gray clip for it. I am going to need two hands here, so I'm going to put the camera down, but you get the drift. So you're going to put the gray back on the gray side, and the black one on the black side. So that just differentiates your left from right, basically. So gray is right, black is left. But pretty much you'll see when you try and fit it on anyways, it only goes in, your fairings will only go on the right way, in the correct orientation either way. Okay, so let me pop those back in. Then we're going to put back on the gauge here. We'll then, throw that out of here, put on this side. Once this side's on, we will then put on the centerpiece. Once the centerpiece is on, we will put on the windscreen, and then we're done. Then it's just a matter of cleaning up your bike, making her look real nice and pretty again. Real quick, just to go over it, from the fairing uninstall video, I just pulled these tabs, the rubber stoppers, I just pulled this off of it, so it left the actual rubber stopper in there. And they're a little bit of a pain to get out, because you have to, the easiest way to put them back in is to take them out and then fish them through the top again and then press it down all the way through. So I used a pair of pliers, shimmied it back and forth and pulled, and that's the easiest way I found to get these rubber guys out. But basically for the reinstall, your gauge just kind of sits in there. I got some stuff in the way right now, so I'll clean everything up and then put everything back in. And don't forget to remake your connection. Put the boot back on. Put your two bolts back in. Right there, that feeds through into there, that one into there, and push these through the holes on each side, these rubber stoppers that you pulled out and pushed through here, completely push them down through. Alright, and this is how it'll end up looking once everything's put back together. You can see the Yoshimura frame sliders put on. They don't stick out too far, but far enough to protect your bike pretty much. I think it looks good. The color scheme matches my bike at least. The black on black with the silver there. I think it's called Moon Dust Gray. Looks good in sunlight. Reflects very nicely the fairings and everything. There you have it. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments below. Be happy to answer.